Hello, my name is Jacqui Robertson-Wade and I teach the viol at the Early Music Shop in Saltaire. I'm here today in my home with my viols and I'm going to give you a quick overview as to which viol is best to play for you. If you're considering playing in lockdown, fantastic opportunity to learn. There are lots of lessons online. I'm currently in the process of putting 150 lessons online at 5 different levels. And there are lots of other teachers out there who are offering online lessons. So what better time to start? If you already play an instrument, if you already play a string instrument, you will have an advantage. You might find it confusing with having a third in the middle and fourths if you're in modern string playing and playing in fifths, but that can quite easily be overcome. I think the hardest thing for string players is not to bring modern string technique to the viol, because it's very easy for a modern string player to sit down and play the viol really. But play it like a viol rather than the instrument that you already play. And I think from that point of view, starting on a tenor, where if you're not a viola player that is, if you're a violinist or a cellist, is a good idea because it gives your technique time to develop and while you're learning to read the clef. One of the other things we look at when starting to learn the viol is the shape, well, not the shape, but the size of your hand, and your span here. If you put your second finger and thumb together and make a ring, and then see how big that is. And for a viol player, I have quite small hands, but luckily for me, viols come in all sorts of different sizes. Even if it's a bass viol, there are lots of variations of size in one instrument. So we've got the treble viol. And repertoire for the treble started when Isabella d'Este commissioned 3 viols in the late 15th century, and it goes right on until Telemann and French Baroque repertoire in the 18th century. So a huge span of music for the treble viol. And I think if you've had string experience, then you could quite easily start off on the treble. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not a string player. However, I would recommend the tenor if you haven't played a string instrument before. This is the tenor viol, and as you can see, it's quite a comfortable size, and most people can accommodate the frets and the stretch on a tenor, and in a way, it's nice to be in the middle of a consort. When you're playing tenor, you get to play the most complex parts. Usually the treble and the bass lines are easier than the tenor lines. Rhythmically, the tenor parts have a lot of interest. And so if you like that idea of maybe learning a new clef and having rhythmic interest in the middle of the of the sound, then tenor is for you. I'm going to be making some short videos about the instrument, so you'll hear me play them. So the big question, if you want to play a bass viol, is which one? Do you play the 6th string or do you play the 7th string? And I think the main question you have to ask yourself is what repertoire you want to play, and what you want to end up playing rather. So with the 6th string viol, we're looking at Renaissance music. But it doesn't stop there. We go right through to Rococo, to early classical. And with the 7th string, there is a repertoire all of its own using the 7th string that was added, I think, in around 1675 by Saint-Colomb. So there's the wonderful French repertoire. But you can play some French repertoire on a 6th string, because not all French repertoire has that bottom string, any specific composers, like Saint-Colomb and Marais and Forqueray, all of which are, it's just amazing music. Well, it's all amazing music, really. You just have to work out what you want to play. The Baroque stuff is harder, much harder, and virtuosic even. But it doesn't mean to say that if you have a 7th string viol, you shouldn't play in a consort. If you play in the bottom of the consort, the 5-part consort, say, you might find that a 7th string can be a bit boomy, but if you were to play the 4th part, it blends very well. So the sort of repertoire that you can play on the 6th string is just the same as you can play on the 7th string, except you don't have a 7th string. But it doesn't mean to say you can't do continuo, because you can tune your 6th string down to C. The lovely thing about playing the viol is that it takes a relatively short space of time from picking up an instrument to playing one-to part with other people in a group or a consort. And it's very rewarding to be able to do that, to be able to have your own independent line. And whether you're a musician already, whether you play an instrument or you sing or you don't play any instrument, playing the viol is a completely accessible instrument that is relatively easy to learn to start with. I'm not saying it's all easy, but it's so rewarding having a social aspect to learning an instrument. And I wish you the best of luck with your lessons.